Hello everybody and welcome on today's video. Today I'd like to talk to you about this big sweet chestnut, Castanea Sativa, and there are a few things I need to do. I'd like to repot him and get him in a smaller pot because this is really huge and heavy and it is, well, not easy to work with. And I'd like to choose a front for this tree. Now the first thing I thought could be a front should be something like this, and this is kind of interesting because we have a fairly nice trunk line. This is a little straight, but that's okay. We have some backing branch here, and you don't see the big wound here. On the other side you can see this wound here, which in my opinion is not a big problem because, well, I think it's okay for a deciduous tree to have wounds. If you look at this from this side, it's rather straight, so that's not that interesting. This could be a front too. It's another possibility. You have some curve here, and this is a back branch. This could be a back branch, then this could become backing. This is maybe a little bit of an eye poker, so maybe turn it a little bit. It's a possibility. Of course I will have to get rid of these branches. And of course the other side is an interesting curve too, but I think that this is not a good front. Trunk line is okay, but this is an eye poker. This is really, yeah. There's nothing in the back, so I think the best one is this, or maybe something like that. And that's why I want to get this tree out of the pot, because the roots and the root spread will give me more clarity about what should be the best front for this tree. So let's get it out of the pot, clean this up a little, and then we have a look. The roots came out as one gigantic ball of earth. Just because you have a bad perspective, you look at this, that's how thick it is. So it's going to take some time to get this untangled. Well, it means that the tree grew well. And what is interesting is, you see, you have a lot of mycelium here, like pines and other conifers. These sweet chestnuts, they have real benefit of this mycelium. So I'm going to take a little pot and gather some of this and include that in the new pot. I reached the point where it's obvious that some of the roots are just way too long even to comb them out. I'm never going to use all of this. So if this is the front of the tree, nice curve in the trunk, I must say this is probably one of the most horrible root bases I saw in my entire life. So let's get the camera a little closer. So it would appear that there is a huge callus ring around this tree. You see, there's no transition at all. That's just like a straight. But on the other side, when I look at this, I see there's roots everywhere, and a nice root spread too. So there are two possibilities: or I try to air layer this tree here, which is something I tried last year, which was a disaster, as it would seem, or I get rid of all the upper roots and I cut this away piece by piece, one third this year, another third next year, and so on, and try to make a smoother transition between the roots and this part. So I think I'll do that. So the first thing I do is removing the roots that are really not in the ring of good root spread, and have a further look then. So this is clearly one of these roots. And this one, obviously. Which makes the whole thing a little more clear. Now for the thick roots, I'd like to grow them more. This is good. Here I have a double one. I'm gonna keep the lower one. Here's a whole set of roots. This thick root has one growing straight up, so that's not really something we want. And this part of the root did not make it, so let's go back to this part. Lots of tiny little roots here. So I'm really searching for the bigger roots now. Getting rid of all the small stuff that is growing higher than the bigger roots. This is really something strange. Never saw this before. Must say I don't have any experience with this kind of trees. Don't see them that often. But it does not really matter. I'm glad the tree is alive and well. And there's a whole lot of refinement to do at the top part, so might take a few years more, so doesn't matter. Here is a thick root, so maybe get rid of the small ones. I think it might be good to put this tree in a pot where only the thick roots get a chance to grow. So now it's time to start the combing out of the roots, to get some nice root spread. This is a thick root, this is not good. Same here, this is too much. Too long and not really interesting up to this point. Oh, this is why you should always comb out your roots. So this is a big blue pot, and this is quite a big tree. It's not blue. Pot is blue, not the tree. So does it fit? Well, almost. Maybe get rid of some of these roots here. Yeah. This is supposed to be the front, something like that. Okay. This root is a little where it should not be. So the whole purpose now is to get this tree quite elevated in the pot, and then cover it up with soil so that the new roots grow down. So that's a whole lot of lava, and no, that's the tree. So I must push it now a little deeper and make sure that the surface roots are just, well, at the surface. That's kind of obvious. And well, this tree has a direction like all trees, so I think the most important movement is that way. So for the negative space, let's do it properly. Move it a little off center. And this takes a few seconds to do this, and well, you have to look at this tree for the whole year now. So what do you think? Is this good? It's not bad. It's not bad at all. So I'm going to take the small caliber ground mix with pot ground. And cover the roots. So now I'm going to work this in, but taking care not to expose the roots. So I'm just going to cover the roots from the top, which is already difficult. If all of our roots stay nicely under the soil level, I'll be fairly happy. Because in this early stage you don't have to want too much. So the tree is now potted up, and here you can clearly see the problem I have to deal with now. So this is a huge bulb. It looks like a hyacinth, and it should not look like a hyacinth, it should look like a sweet chestnut. So one thing that is sure is that the bottom of this section will swell, because the roots will grow and this will expand. That's sure. But one thing that is also sure is that this part will not shrink. And if you see all around the tree, you can see that the problem is quite everywhere. So I have to deal with that, and like a well-known bonsai master said, John Naka, he said, if you have a problem, just cut it off. So that's what I'm gonna do now. Gonna remove this section already, and this section, and then see what's going on. So I removed a fair part of the big bulb, where the transition is much smoother, and I'm going to do that on different places now. So yeah, I'll come back to you when this is done. I cut away quite a portion of the protuberance, how should I call it? And as you see it in 2 dimensions, it looks much better. Of course, if you look at it in this, well, you see that it's the only thing I did was cutting away these parts because they're the one I'm going to look at now. So, but technically I realized that I was only doing something like like you're doing on an air layer. So maybe if I cover this with a good rooting hormone on both sides, and then I take a nice ball of moss here and same here, just a little more, like so. And now I wrap this in a tape just to hold it a little in position. And maybe try to fill the remaining parts with a little substrate. I might have a chance that there is root formation from the top of the wounds. And if there is, well, there will be roots growing down and eventually covering up the wounds. So I might get lucky on this, and there will of course be callousing over, but because the wound is so big it could take 20 years, so I don't think this is the only thing I should try. But maybe root formation, starting from there and then going down, and then if you put some raffia and pressure it, then the roots will start to fuse and you get a nice transition. So I'm not sure if this will work, but I'm sure that if I do nothing, this tree will stay horrible for the rest of its existence. So here we are now with the work for today finished. The tree is not really where he should be in the pot, and there's still a long way to go, but he's healthy, he's growing well, and if I think about all the roots I have cut off, it means that these trees are quite vigorous, and well, it has a potential, and it is a sweet chestnut, which is a tree you don't see often in bonsai, so that's always fun to do. I'm not going to do a whole lot on the upper part. I think I'm just going to let them grow and become strong and healthy, and probably next year or maybe in summer I can cut some things back. So that's basically it for today. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.